All right, I've been having some trouble getting this to load. So, uh, talked a little bit about Walter Mac Davis in Grand Haven trying to obstruct the Ottawa County Board of Commissioners in things that they want to do. So, here it is for you, Mr. Walter Mac Davis.
Suggest ways that we can do that by the time I end. I go around town, Yvonne can tell you this, I go up to anyone and talk to them, and I ask them about the school board. And the thing I already know is that lies repeated often enough are taken as truth by people. And so one of the first things I hear from almost everyone is, well, I think there's a little bit too much indoctrination in the schools right now. That is what we're up against. First of all, indoctrination is not a matter of what is taught, but how it is taught. I've examined the history books at the school. They cover a range of topics. I can imagine someone from Restoring Ottawa refusing to discuss many of the topics. I can imagine them refusing to watch the film The U.S. and the Holocaust that is concluding tonight. There are many things about our history that we need to know in order to be responsible citizens. They, however, say that they're in favor of what they call true history. True history is a history that completely removes any mention of the genocide of indigenous populations, the history of racism, the bombing of Hiroshima, systemic racism, the war against women and its continuation, etc. For them, true history is a history of what they call American exceptionalism. That is a myth that one can believe in order to whitewash anything that one doesn't want to hear. They now back this with the bizarre notion that our children, and they continue to call 18-year-old young adults children, that our young adults should not ever be in a class where they are made to hear anything that will make them feel uncomfortable. Well, I got news for you. That's what an education is. It's a process of learning things that will make you feel uncomfortable. I don't say many things in favor of my alma mater, the University of Chicago, but I will say this. In their brochures to incoming students, they say the University of Chicago does not offer trigger warnings on any of its courses or on any of its lectures because it believes that you are here to be challenged, to be exposed to things you don't want to hear. We have to fight back against this notion that students are poor, frail people who can't hear anything certain people don't want them to hear. The purpose of an education, as you know, one guy managed to get himself elected in Virginia by saying we should teach people how to think, not what to think. I couldn't agree more. But what is thinking? They don't have the slightest idea. For them, thinking is truly indoctrination in a concept of American history that is really history as hagiography, that is stories of the saints. You wipe out anything that you don't want taught. Restoring Ottawa is the local branch of Ottawa Impact. How many of you are familiar with Restoring Ottawa? Yeah, I start every day with the latest, and then I get pissed off, and then I know I'm ready to start writing. It's a simple process. They have been waging, and I want to back up. I want to quote my dear friend Steve Bannon, who shortly after the insurrection said this: the path to save the nation is very simple. It's going to go through the school boards. Mike Flynn said the same thing at a QAnon rally. Shortly thereafter, throughout the country, groups like Ottawa Impact sprung up with a lot of deep money behind them. As you know, they managed to commissioners in. Among the slickness of that campaign, they refused to appear at a League of Women Voters meeting. They don't want to meet the press. They just want to have slick operations to delude people, to spread the further lies. The first lie was that it's an infringement on our freedom to ask us to wear masks. How can you imagine? That is, my freedom is my license in a pandemic to infect you with what might very well kill you. That was step number one. Then there was a bright boy, and there's always room at the top for a bright boy in the Republican Party. A bright boy named Christopher Rufo out in Washington, who had read a number of things, 1619 Project, Ta-Nehisi Coates, Toni Morris, and all these terrible incendiary things. And he decided that he was going to lump them all together under a thing he would title critical race theory. Critical race theory is a very elaborate movement in legal studies begun by Derek Bell and Kimberly Crenshaw. It is heavy stuff, and it isn't taught till you get maybe an advanced social studies course in college or in law school. But he was on Tucker, have I got that name right? Tucker, spelled with an F. Tucker Carlson had Rufo on one night. Rufo talked about critical in race theory. Fat Donnie saw the show and called, that's his mob name, by the way. He called Rufo, and he called Carlson. He said, that's a winner. We got to go with that. That's how critical race theory was born. And that became, again, another attempt to suggest to people that our schools had been completely taken over by left-wing Marxist radicals who were indoctrinating our children in ways that, and this is what's most interesting, in ways that suggest that evangelical white supremacist thinking is the thing that's being attacked. And on that, I want to tell you something about Spring Lake. There's a church here in Spring Lake, the Evangelical Emmanuel Free Church, where the minister, heavily cribbing Christopher Rufo, has given 19 hours of sermons proving from the Bible that critical race theory is condemned. This is serious stuff. Not only does he not know how to read the Bible, he hasn't read a word of critical race theory. The third plank, these things run their course. The third plank was the attack on LGBTQ Americans. And that's probably the most disgusting. I want to give you a couple of brief examples. The National Education Association has a caucus for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender members. This was recently attacked, so recently today, by Christopher Rufo, who has moved on from critical race theory to talking about LGBTQ, and basically trying to say that not a bunch of pedophiles are grooming our children for deviant lifestyles. He recently attacked the National Education Association, saying that they are promoting bondage, grooming, domination, sadomasochism, muffin. I don't know what muffin. You learn something new every day, and fisting. Yeah, I don't. After the show. It's hard to know where to begin in discussing the viciousness of this. Restoring Ottawa, one of the three candidates for the school board supported by Ottawa Impact in Restoring Ottawa is a man named Roger Williams, who does almost daily attacks on their newsletter about all of the perversion that's in our schools. He also takes up 33% of the time of our curriculum director dealing with his complaints. They go to every school, they complain about every book. If any of you were at the school board meeting the other night, you saw a perfect example where a young woman from our high school gave a beautiful speech where she was talking about the freedom to read. This is Banned Book Week, about the freedom to read and how it's absolutely essential for young people to read about the issues that concern them because they are trying to make the decisions that will affect their lives. It was a beautiful thing. I'm going to try to get her to present it on my newsletter because it's she was the adult in the room. She was followed by two people. The first one who got up and wanted to read a passage or two from a pornographic book. Back up. They have no idea what pornography is legally or aesthetically. There's a long history of legal cases, beginning with the case that got James Joyce's Ulysses into the United States in 1938, the book that's probably on most lists regarded as the greatest modern novel of the 20th century in English. You couldn't get it here until 1938, and then a judge looked at it and said, it's not pornographic at all. You can't, and what these people do, they pull passages out of context. And then they suggest that the passages would be positively harming and grooming our children. One night, one guy went in there and he said, he threatened the school board that they were pedophiles who would be prosecuted. It's that extreme. It's that extreme. And that's one of the things we have to know about this movement. QAnon now has 15% of Americans say they believe QAnon. 2 years before Hitler became chancellor, he only had 18.7%. This is serious stuff. It's moreover, it was propaganda until recently. They are now talking, thanks to Donald and others, about violent action. Do you have any idea how many AR-15s there are in this country in private hands right now? I'll tell you how many. 20 million. We're in serious trouble. These people are totally removed from any possible correction by experience. They also claim, they base a lot of their claim on the notion that Michigan law gives the parents absolute rights over the education of their children. They quote one paragraph from Michigan's law. I went and got a legal opinion on it, indicating that the parents are at best partners in the curriculum and education of their children. But they want to claim that they have absolute rights, and what they want to impose, because their basic belief is that we are a Judeo-Christian nation, especially favored by God, and that's why we have in the history of American exceptionalism. We are a democratic republic where we are granted not only freedom of religion, but freedom from religion. However, one of their, and I encourage you to go to Ottawa Impact, look on the website, see the profiles of the three candidates here. You just go to the Education Act thing and you'll see the three and their statements of what they believe in. One of them said he was going to, if on the school board, he was going to rule with the Constitution in one hand and the Bible in the other. I suggest he open both of them. But for example, they're in favor of academic excellence and true history, and they say that will rule out any CRT or CSE, Center for Sustainability. But they also, one of their most interesting things, and it's something I want to focus on for a moment, is they say they're pro-child innocence. Well, sorry about that. Read Freud's 3 essays, but and child innocence takes this form. A boy is a boy, a girl is a girl. I think they base that on the notion, male and female, he created them. Terrible reading of that passage. They don't know that the deity had a great sense of humor. He may have fitted people with two different sets of sexual organs. He fitted them with a great variety of gender possibilities. What we're having now, and it's now estimated that between 7 and 15% of our population are LGBTQ Americans and deserve to not, what they're trying to do in this thing, they're trying to inflict on them, if you see something like Brokeback Mountain, they're trying to inflict on these young people the same kind of need to first feel confused, guilty, ashamed, to go through terrible agony. Maybe, of course, they can always send them off to a Mike Pence Center and get straightened out, because that increases the suicide rate among young LGBTQ people. They want to deny, they want, for the sake of their notion, their very narrow notion of compulsory heterosexuality, they want to force a number of Americans to not have the right to express their views in their education. And on that, I just want to cite two books for you briefly. I know I'm out of my light. Theater, there's nothing but theater. This book is number 1 on the list of banned books in the country, Genderqueer. It's a wonderful story of a young person who is physically female, and in terms of gender, psyche, male. And it's the process of navigating that reality and often putting this person at odds not only with heterosexual society, but with different forms of LGBTQ society. The reason there's one scene in this thing, oh, are there any children in the audience, by the way? That was one of the things, the one woman would only read her passage if all children were removed from the audience. It wasn't from this book, it was from another book. It was about an act of fellatio, male on male. Wow. Of course, that's what got Anita Bryant started in an earlier phase of this, when another group of people were in many ways condemned to death because of their sexuality. The thing that's really gotten them about this book is not only the sensitivity of this person's voyage toward their gender identity, but at one point, the person reads from the neurophysiologist Patricia Churchland, who's written a very good book on gender, in which she points out that, and now I gotta find my, oh, there they are. If I can get them unleashed. The book is called Touching a Nerve. I should quote Walt Whitman on that, shouldn't I? Is this then touch trembling me into another existence? That's real touch. Pointing out that we all have 23 pairs of chromosomes, either XX, genetic female, or XY, genetic male. However, 1 in 650 have XXY, 1 in 1,000 XYY, etc. And she goes on to explain that many times our gender identity and our sexual biology are completely different. And that's what needs to be recognized, but that's the reason why what is science is attacked as pedophilia, as grooming. All it's trying to do in this book, it's really wonderful. Yeah, there's one scene where the two guys, it's a cartoon, for Christ's sake. It's not even a good sex scene. But the notion, which again is completely foreign to legal determinations, pornography is not a subjective decision. It's a legal matter. And one of the primary constituents of making a case is you can't cite things out of content. You have to explain them within the context and the total artistic integrity of the book. Moreover, and this is again where they missed the boat, I'm saying in all of this, they have alternative, and I always have trouble getting that second word right. I oftentimes make a Freudian slip. Alternative, I'm going to do Rain Man now here. Try to Bab, it's very good to try. Facts, alternative facts, I got through that. There are no alternative facts on this. They also want to say that pornography is a matter of community standards. It is legally national community standards. That's the legal, if you want to charge something with pornography. By the way, I despise porn because I personally think sexuality is the only sacred thing that I've ever discovered about this veil of tears. And it should never be violated in the way that it is by pornography, which is part of the male war against women. But there's a much bigger male war against women, as you know. You're probably going to get that pretty soon. Our candidates are going to be charged with being in favor of abortion. She's waving. I told her I'm so used to talking for only 3 minutes that 15 is a luxury. I just want to add one final thing because it's what's coming next. And this, I think, I'd love to talk for 3 hours. I'm trying to write a book on the climate crisis. The current attack that's coming, in fact, you may know that Ron DeSantis and Abbott have already attacked the Securities and Exchange Commission rule that would require publicly listed companies to disclose their greenhouse gas emissions. They're going to try to make it impossible for us to get that knowledge. Now, I should close with the notion, never trust the fossil fuel people. They were all ready to help us along in every possible way until they found a way to make a lot of money off Ukraine, etc. This will be the next big issue in all of this. One more quick one. I do not use the word fascism readily because I think when you call someone a fascist, you have crossed the Rubicon. Just as when someone becomes a fascist, they have crossed the Rubicon. But I think that is what we are really up against here. I wrote an article on it about 3 years ago and was attacked on various parts. I just, I get there quickly. And I want to conclude, but I hope we can talk about ways we got to organize. We got to act. We got to get the word out. We've got to correct the impressions that people have in our community about this. I hope to get more of you on the newsletter, and I think are you passing around the thing? If you want to see it, just write down your email address, and I'll send it to you. And if you read a couple and you don't like it, you can just, it doesn't cost anything. You can quit. Okay. The other books. I just want to say one. I know. I was doing the other book, Call Me Max, which they attacked because they say, oh, young children are seeing it. They should be comforted by it because Max, it's an explanation that Max's gender is something that doesn't threaten any other of the other kids because it's in his genes. They should see that this book supports their position, but they don't read the books that they can get. Sorry, Patty.
Building is the question and answer, so don't go away. But a couple of things before we get started with Q&A, I'd like to check to see if there are any candidates in the room who are going to be on the November ballot. Will you stand up? You sit down and let the candidates stand up. All right. So Christine is here, Christine Baker's here, and Tim Nagy is here, and Kathy Green, who's running for the Spring Lake School Board, is here. Did I miss anybody? Okay. Just so you all know, I'm sure you do know that Ottawa Impact is very well funded by their jobs. And I don't know if you've seen any of their literature or their postings, but they have a lot of money behind them. So if you do have some money you can donate to the campaigns, or if you have a few hours that you can help out, stuff envelopes, knock on doors, whatever you can do. I'm sure the candidates would appreciate it. You talk to the 3 candidates that are here, or if you're interested in other people, let us know, send us an email, and we'll hook you up about how to donate to that campaign. Susan, you wanted to say something about the League of Women Voters?
Also, the first state ballots are.
Okay, good to know. I think there's also something at the community center on next Tuesday night with the school board candidates, or anybody know anything about that? If we figure that out, we'll post it on our Facebook page. Oh, people couldn't hear me? Okay, I don't know. What do you think they missed? Oh, right, okay.
Sorry, people on Zoom. The League of Women Voters of the Grand Haven area are holding a school board candidates forum starting at 6 p.m. on September 29th at Spring Lake Library on Savage Street. The Grand Haven board will be first and the Spring Lake board will be second. So we hope you'll all show up.
Okay, we'll do question and answers now, and just a reminder that Mac is going to stick around even after those are done in case people want to talk to him about anything. So anyway, do you want to field the questions, or do you want me to point people out?
No, you can go away. I just want to add one other. I want to add one other note. I don't know what date yet, but I will be running another half-page ad in the Tribune on the school board, and if you folks pick it up, I'll be greatly appreciative of that. Reverend Kramer and I are also setting up a meeting at St. John's soon, and I will also at some point be giving a public lecture. It'll be more like a lecture. I know I'm among friends of at the community center sometime between now and the election. So keep those possibilities in mind. Let me just say, I think it's wonderful to support the candidates. I think we can anticipate that Ottawa Impact will run a very slick campaign that will be glossy mailings about faith and family, things like that, and also all sorts of incendiary charges, and that they won't, as they didn't before. They don't believe in facing the people in an election. That would be far too democratic. I think we've got to find ways to get out and get to the people. I'm a words guy. I'm not an organization guy, but one of the things we can do tonight is maybe start to develop some common strategies. Enough. I welcome your thoughts, your questions. I can't get Bob Dylan's Desolation Row out of my mind. Sure, yes. do. The question was that someone in Washtenaw County who's facing the onslaught of Ottawa Impact. Ottawa Impact is trying to raise $100,000 for the school board campaigns. I don't know how much they're trying to raise for the other campaigns. It's a lot. They did, yeah. They were down to 15,000 at one point. But you know, you call up Betsy and Cock and Coke. I'm sorry. I read the wrong books. They will not face the people. They will not tell the truth. They will lie. So we have to find ways to help the people become democratic citizens. Her question was, what can they do there? It's hard. I've been trying to get a thing where all the districts would work together on the school board thing. I have not had much success with that. One of the things, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, that is not what this is about. I think that my newsletter provides a lot of good information and argumentation that can be used. And I welcome the person from Washington to contact me. I'm going to send these things to the other school districts. Any other materials that we have, absentee ballots have now gone out. The 3 board candidates, I think your people have your list. We in Grand Haven have ours, and one in Grand Haven is 90 pages long. Letters to those people. Kim.
As a candidate, as an educator, one of the things that you can do is show up to a school board meeting so that you actually hear it. I just went to a Hudsonville meeting, and the top of my head nearly blew off from the comments of sitting school board members in Hudsonville. They were discussing the very moving reference, and one of the school board members said, well, if we decide to ban that, do I have to read it first? If we know that, oh, it's better. He then said, oh, well, your wife could read it for you. So when you go and you hear action, then you can talk to people from a position of actually having courage and talk to your neighbors and talk to your friends about who you're supporting and why we have to. And you know, most school board meetings, if there are 10 people in the audience, that's big. So if you just show up to one, then you're speaking from a position of authority.
We have somewhat more in our school board meetings. We often go over 50, and they frequently have a number of people speak. I've spoken at, I think I got a string of 5 in a row, but we could use more. We've got to get people. We had one night when a lot of people came in and spoke for the right to read, including a number of the students, and we shut them up that night. I know people are reluctant because, well, they've done some things to me which I won't mention. I got a target on my back. I've had one on my back before. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you still with me? It's really important to attend school board meetings, and it's fascinating because it's terrifying to see the extreme right-wing assault on our schools. And you know, if you take over the judiciary, Judge Kanan, if you take over the media, if you have everybody tweeting and twittering and using Facebook as their only source of news, and if you destroy the education system, you got the whole thing. Every fascist movement has done. It has the war on education is absolutely essential, and it's bizarre at best. There's comic possibilities in this, but
Yeah, I would tag on that board member the same way. Like, the code. Previous to that, yeah, maybe there would be the teachers, principals, staff in the audience. But as COVID rolled in, the numbers started increasing, we moved our meetings over to preschool. And what's always interesting is the people who feel their rights are infringed upon, and they are there, but the people who maybe weren't happy with masks, but they thought it was important. If that's what we need to do, we'll do it, we don't want it. But they didn't come to the meeting. The people who are okay, they don't show up.
yeah.
So all we hear is the negative, which, we got pretty thick skin. We had masks on, nobody knew what we were muttering. And appalling. But it's still, going to the meeting and sort of, in a way, refuting or bringing up for the record your position, your support, and what that he just showed. I was on the book review committee at our district, we have to request to remove the book. So we all read the book. I was able to check my copy out, it's been like district library. Make sure we all have copies. And we didn't all love the book, but it's got a lot of good information in it. And there are kids who need to read it. So when we met with our media specialist, we all talked about the book. We not only said, no, we're not going to ban the book, but our media specialist was very good. She just said, well, I kept it in my office so
let me just summarize this, and then, 'cause, you were at the school board meeting, so you can speak to it. They have only one issue. A zygote must be brought to birth, and after that, you're on your own. And that's, I'm sorry. Yeah, I must state my position. I think when men can get pregnant, they're entitled to a position on that, not before. But I think we are in a time where we can seize a lot of issues that should be ours, that we ceded to them in many ways. And that's, I think, should be one of the keynotes to these campaigns, to do that. Well, now, these are now auditions.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Hi, thank you. So what I struggle with is we talk about what we believe in, which is different, and we seem to keep doing the same thing that we've always done. And we talk about how Republicans are so savvy and they're slick, and I don't think that that has to be a negative thing for us. Like, can we find a way to be informed and also be brief, and also find a way to touch people's hearts as deeply as the Republicans find a way to? Because I believe in the goodness of people, and we have to find that, but in a different way than we've always done it, is what I'm wondering. So when we talk about organizing and acting, what's a different way to organize and act than we've done before?
The people who are okay with our position showing up.
Yeah.
To counter the people who are.
I think one of the things we should do is try to enlist as many of the young people as we can. The Republicans run their thing on hate, fear, and resentment. That's their culture. We have to develop a positive culture of alternative values. This gentleman, and then.
I might be loud enough for them to hear on Zoom.
Yeah.
But,
Good voice.
I was outdoors. If you go to the meetings, when you come back, or we should organize, if you have a Facebook group, even if you're just in this, for your school district, or, somewhere where you can start sharing information, if you go to the meeting, when you speak up, come back and tell other people about it. I was imagining organizing, if you've got 3 people to cover each school board, so that no one person has to be there every time. Just get 3 people to organize as a group, so that we will take it on, and we are going to report on the school board, and then they advocate that they start doing YouTube live, because the county commission does that now, and they've even taken that to their subcommittees. Some of their subcommittees now are broadcast live on YouTube, and you can also go back and watch them later. But if you go to the meetings, you speak up, tell the people you were there, that you need them to start showing up too, and find ways to share with each other.
Yeah, that's very good. I believe there's an irony at our expense here. I don't think there's another school board meeting in Grand Haven until after the election. Unfortunately, but yes, ma'am.
It's the third month.
They're having some kind of a retreat.
He said it's Spring Lake, the third Monday of
The third, thank you. The next school board meeting for the Spring Lake School Board is the third Monday of next month of October. Don't know exactly what date that is. Well, people can look, yeah, you can look it up.
I mean, people always want to know, what can I do? Because we sit here and say, we hear this, what can we do? So one of the things that I can do to actually,
Yeah, might as well.
one of the things that I've been doing is canvassing. And that's scary because you're going to somebody's house. But I will tell you, you do have a list. You're not going to any houses with a Trump flag. These are people who are considered persuadable. I have no idea how they get that way. But I was out today and I had someone ask me, well, I'm really concerned about education too. And I want them to be learning, reading and writing and arithmetic. And I said, I will tell you that I'm a retired chair of the Education and Early Childhood Studies program at a college. And I will tell you that there is no critical race theory that is taught because these teachers are so overwhelmed with just trying to do Common Core that there is no time for something like that. And that is considered an advanced college level course. And he said, I didn't know that. And so that's something that you can do. You can canvas. It's not that overwhelming. You get a list, you get an app. I'm not good at apps, but I have one. I know how to do it. And it's not that hard. You can go out for a couple of hours and you can do it. And that's how you change minds.
And one of the things that can help you with that, if you get the Ottawa Impact website, you can get their statement of the things they believe in. And you can begin by having your alternative position to all of those. A good way to proceed. Did I
You have a question here?
And since I own the place, I get to do this. So you guys have been moving here for a couple of years, maybe? And I've been encouraging you to do something for a long time, but you haven't. And that is a committee to recruit younger people to be here tonight. Because I look out there and it's me, and you guys are all as old as me, almost all of you. The other thing is, because school board issues are so important to the students themselves, some way to encourage them to go to the damn school board meeting instead of parents. Let the kids go speak and hear what's going on. And I don't know how you do that. I don't have any kids in school here, but I have grandchildren down in Chicago. And if there are banned books that I read in school, I want my grandchildren to read them. And then I want my son and his wife to reread them and talk to the kids about them. Just read the book. Both of you read the same book and then talk about it. And that's the way it should be done.
In fact, I think one of the things we could do later is each one of us could give a spoof report on their favorite banned book. There are student organizations. There's a Colors of Change organization at the school. This is at Grand Haven. I don't know what you have. There's a green group. Some of the students have come to some of the school board meetings. The students and the teachers are scared. The teachers especially. The teachers know that these people will take them down if they can. They're very reluctant to say anything. These people are trying they go into the schools with some rather extreme demands. And so it's made, they want teachers should be out talking. They're afraid to, and I understand that. Students are there if we can find a way to rally them. I've made contact with the young woman who spoke the other night, and I'm going to be trying to work with her to see how many she can bring along. It would be a good thing in Spring Lake, too.
All right, CL, you're the last question. You're the last official question.
Field!
I just want to provide some basic information to you that you may not be aware of.
Firstly, the guy that started the Ottawa Impact Group has now started something called Michigan Impact. And they're going statewide, county by county by county, school board by school board by school board. This is a major, major thing that you need to be sensitive to. Secondly, I'm really pleased with the endorsements that the Lakeshore Progressives have done. Look at their website, vote for those people, support those people. This is really interesting, and you all have never thought about this. The Ottawa County Commissioners, between now and the end of the year, are going to be filling about 20 appointments that are on there. It's listed on the county's website. We want to try to get them filled before the end of the year, and the new regime is what I would call it, comes into town. So please look at the Ottawa County website. If you see some positions that you think you might be qualified for, please apply for them. We're trying to get groups like yours to do that. Interestingly, Ottawa Impact is so well organized that they are monitoring city council meetings, they're monitoring township meetings, they even have an observer at the Grand Haven Board of Light and Power meetings. And I might add, if anybody lives in the city of Grand Haven, there's an opening on the Board of Light and Power. The chair, thank you, the good Lord, has resigned. And we need to find somebody that's from the city of Grand Haven. We'd like to have somebody with energy experience. We'd like to have somebody that's a little younger, because the average age is about 103. But we're looking for people to do that. Another thing you can do, Kim's here, Chris is here. If you all want to really do something other than come to meetings and sit and chat and listen, volunteer to help these folks. And there's another person that you need to know about. There's a woman named Danielle Smith who's running for the county commission in the 1st District, which is Port Sheldon Township, Olive Township, and the western part of Park Township, and the southern area across the lake from is part of Park Township. She is, many of you know me, I've been involved in politics since I was 12. This woman is probably the most qualified person I've ever seen running for office for a first time. She is absolutely amazing. I would call her a centrist, which maybe for some of you is not enough. But for her district, she's exactly the right person. She's actually the head of human resources internationally and locally for Shade Corporation. She's an incredibly bright young woman, and I would urge you all to consider supporting her. The school districts that the Ottawa, what is it called now? It's called Restore Ottawa, are targeting are Grand Haven, Spring Lake, Hudsonville, Allendale, Georgetown Township. There's a candidate on the ballot in Zeeland, and it's in our ISD, Hamilton. Those are the districts that they are going after. And this is happening all over West Michigan. I just am going to say, get involved, folks. One more thing. Some of you know me as a Republican. I had a very interesting call about 2 weeks ago asking if I was willing to lend my name to the Republicans for Whitmer list. I told them no. And the reason is that I'm no longer a Republican.
All right, and Matt has a question for Gail.
I understand from Roger Bergman that he and others had a meeting with Vanessa about possibilities of things that the current commissioners could do to hamstring the new group coming in. Can you give us any report on that?
Can you talk about that afterwards, maybe?
Yeah, let's do it afterwards.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in the next day. Probably don't.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Christine, yes. Do you want to talk up here? While Christine's heading up here, I just want to repeat something that Kathy Green had said. She's candidate for the Spring Lake School Board, is that all they heard from Spring Lake meetings was the people who had negative feelings towards the choices they were making. And it's important for the people who want to support their school boards, even if you don't have children in the district. It's, public education helps all of us. So we need to be showing up for things sometimes.
I promise I will make this very brief. To Field's point about getting involved, and Danielle Smith. I don't think anybody can see me. So, October 1, we have a joint canvassing event with Danielle Smith, Kim Nagy, and my campaign. We're going to be canvassing from 3 to 6 in the Port Sheldon-ish township area. So if you want to get out and get involved and canvass for the 3 of us all at the same time, we would welcome that. What did you say?
Donate.
Oh, and donate money, of course, but donate money. I understand. I think this is going to be a get out the vote campaign, and we need money to get our message out. So thank you.
So I mentioned that Matt will stick around if people want to ask more questions or share more thoughts. We, the Progressive Lakeshore Group, it's an open Facebook page, so if you're not already following us, please get on there and like us and follow us. We did post our main sheet of all the endorsements we made. Please take a look at that and share it with your friends. On Facebook, we'd like those to go viral, as they say. And I think there's a sign-up sheet floating around. Usually we have the sign-up sheet at the door, but we didn't do that. Okay, Linda, we have the sign-up sheet. Sign-up sheet's right there, so if you're able to, please sign up before you leave to let us know that you were here. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. If you're not already on our email list, be sure to sign up on that list. Thank you again to our hosts, Michelle and Gary Hanks. We support them over these next few months as they continue to share the amazing gift of music with the community. We are all going to miss it. And please join us next month to meet Dr. Roger Bauman, Assistant Professor of Sociology at Yale College, as we further explore the impact of Christian nationalism on our communities. I think it's the 4th Wednesday, though. Is that correct? I think the date's different, but we will advertise it on our Facebook page. And as I said, we're all very sad that it'll be our last meeting here. So, thank you, everyone.
All right, well, there you have it. Straight from the horse's mouth. I'll probably be talking about some of this on the show this weekend. So I hope you guys are all having a great week and enjoy the rest of your day.